What's up, guys? It's your boy Santos the Destroyer, and I'm back at y'all with part 5, I believe, of What If Naruto and Gaara Were Brothers. So, a quick recap is we just finished the Tenchi Bridge reconnaissance mission where Naruto basically snapped at Orochimaru when he made those remarks about Sasuke and whatnot. So, now we begin the next arc, the Akatsuki suppression mission. So basically, everything goes the same in canon. Yugato Two Tails is still captured by Hidan and Kakuzu. Hidan and Kakuzu just ransack the Fire Monk Temple, which causes Asuma to be alerted and make a move on it. But heading back to Naruto and Gaara are the main characters. Naruto, I believe, would start training his Rasen Shuriken much, much earlier than canon because I feel like he'd be more incentivized as a person. Like now knowing what these new strangers have and what their power is and their abilities. I think he'd care much more than he did. I wouldn't say he didn't care in canon, but he was somewhat lackadaisical when it came to his training further advancing because he didn't. He just thought he was like, I wouldn't say invincible, but Naruto just had high self-confidence, which isn't a bad thing. But in this case, he's more just knowing about the outside world. So he begins his Rasen Shuriken training early. Gaara would also learn if not, if he hadn't already learned the Rasen Shuriken, he would learn the Rasen Shuriken, and he would try to add an additional change of chakra to the Rasengan. I believe he already created the Lightning Rasengan, but adding like fire to our Rasengan, like sort of Rasen Flare or something, so that he learned something like along those lines, which would basically it'd be a projectile Rasengan, and then basically detonate like a circle, like in an area, just be like a bomb, a fiery bomb, basically an area. So Asuma still goes to the monk temple. Unfortunately, he still dies like in Canon because I don't believe the hidden leaf would have sent extra backup to him. But this is also important for Shikamaru's character, as Asuma's death was one of the major turning points in his character, which made him more serious. It's not more serious, more just thinking about life and stuff, like what he has to do, his responsibilities, I should say, because he had to become the new king after Asuma died. So now we have Team 10 continuing Asuma's mission. So that's Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Kakashi, and then I don't think Gaara would go since he'd be busy training, if if you just said Naruto like they did in canon. So Naruto, Gaara, well, Gaara did go, excuse me, he was part of sending the reinforcements. He wasn't sent additionally. It was Naruto, Gaara, Sakura. I think Yamato would be sent as the reinforcements, but Naruto would still kill Kakuzu with his Rasen Shuriken rather than mortally wound him, as his Rasen Shuriken would be much more powerful and he's taken much more time to perfect it, is which also leads into something else extremely significant that I'll get into later. Now we're in the Itachi Pursuit mission. Basically everything's the same except the team has one extra member, and that's Gaara Uzumaki, and Naruto still gets the Shisui Kuro with Koto Masukami from Itachi. Now we have the Jiraiya the Valiant arc. This is probably one of the saddest arcs in my opinion in Naruto. It's when Jiraiya fights against Pain. He still dies in this circumstance, as I don't believe, despite taking on two students, I just don't think Jiraiya would have gone through any extra training, just any extra like any special extraordinary training that would have prepared him for combating all the passive pain. So Jiraiya still dies, he still leaves his message, and Naruto and Gaara are just both devastated when they learn of Jiraiya Sensei's death. And at the same time, Sasuke kills Itachi, and now we head into the Pain arc. So from basically both Gaara and Naruto, after Jiraiya's death, both Gaara and Naruto head to Mount Myoboku to train in Sage mode. So Naruto doesn't have to focus on mastering his Rasen Shuriken, so he has more time to focus exclusively on attaining Sage mode. And at the same time, I believe Gaara would just work on perfecting his Sage mode, like becoming he already was the perfect Sage to begin with, but now I guess he'd work on getting Sage Mode faster, needing less time to collect nature energy, and basically make it to at the point he was like getting Sage Mode at the speed of Minato, but being able to hold the energy as long as like Hashirama like character. But I can't really compare. Like he'd be able to hold the energy and just in short for a very, very long time, and he wouldn't need that long to collect it all in all. So I believe that Gaara, since being more farther along in his progression, would be able to leave Mount Miyaboku much soon. I wouldn't say much soon, but sooner than Naruto. So Gaara gets there right right before Pain does the Shinra Tensei. And let's say that it's a crazy battle at this point. It's Gaara and then all the other villagers versus Gaara's basically fighting Gaara is perfect sage right now, basically fighting all the passive. Well, he's fighting at least the diva. Well, he's basically fighting four for anywhere from between through six passive pain at this point, and he's fighting with Kakashi right now. I don't think Kakashi would die unless he gets blindsided, but he would. I think Gaara would at least take out two at least take out four of the passive pain just because not only is he a perfect sage, he has Iron Sand defenses. He's not spamming, he's spamming Iron Sand. He's not spamming Chakra Chains. The only reason why he hasn't been impaled with a rod yet is because he's using the evasiveness of that Sage Mode grants him, Sage Mode basically grants you superb field awareness, so you can't really get taken by surprise with it. But basically, he gets every path down except the Diva path, and that's probably his mistake as he gets Almighty pushed all the way to the other side of the village, where he promptly gets the wind knocked out of him, and let's just say he's down for the count. And then Naruto arrives, and just as the Naraka path is just like reviving everyone, Naruto's there. So Naruto has a relatively easier fight, but it's still by no means easy. So basically, what happened? Everything goes the same. Like Naruto still eventually gets pinned down with the chakra rods, and then Hinata goes in to help to to help Naruto, and then she gets a rod slashed up all inside of her. I think Naruto was still snapped like in the canon. So Naruto would get just livid, and that surge of malevolent chakra would be enough to wake up guards. Like he just rise, and Naruto would go immediate six tails, and I think this would put Gaara into full panic mode because he'd be dangerously close to transferring the QB. So he's sprinting to the battlefield at full speeds. Then he sees another tail, seven, and then he sees eight, and he's full on panicking right now. And then flash to the headspace of Naruto. He's about to rip off the seal, go full nine tails. And mind you, this is happening while he's in eight tails rampaging from the outside. And then the Minato comes. And then that entire interaction with Minato punches him, Minato tells Naruto who his parents are. Naruto starts crying. Minato's like, "Oh, how are you and your brother?" He's like, "Oh, we're doing great." It's just, why would you do this to me? He has basically the same conversation with Minato as he does in canon. And then Minato fixes the seal. At the same time he fixes the seal, Gaara jumps. Because I don't think at this point, since Pain is much more beat up, I don't think he could do a freaking Chibaku Tensei, Planetary Devastation. I don't think he can do it. Because he's gotten worked from Gaara and worked from an enraged Eight Tails Naruto. So there's no Chibaku Tensei going off at this point. So he uses every ounce of chakra that he has at this point, puts it into adamantine chains, and then just halts Naruto. And then Naruto goes back to his normal stage mode form, and Gaara doesn't. It's like all this happened. Gaara he's low, extremely low on chakra right now. Gaara, let's just say he passes out from chakra exhaustion. Mind you, all this would have happened within a couple of seconds, so Pain couldn't really react to much because he's still recovering from using Shinra Tensei Almighty Push. So Naruto would defeat Pain with much more ease than he did in canon because Pain's exhaust at this point and Nagato has basically no chakra left. He has just enough chakra for the Rene rebirth, just barely just enough. So I think Nagato at this point, just seeing what Gaara and Naruto did, because Nagato was a sensory type, at least he could sense it. I believe that Nagato would be much more considerate and much be a stronger believer in Naruto's dream of peace, especially after Naruto shows him the novel by Jiraiya. And um, at that point, Nagato would use Rene Rebirth, giving his life for the dream of peace that he falsely tried to achieve. Conan would become an ally, and after all said and done, both Naruto and Gaara would be hailed as heroes throughout the Hidden Leaf for basically stopping, well, not stopping, but averting, helping to end the Pain invasion. And then sometime throughout those following months, I believe Naruto would just pull aside Gaara and tell him who their parents actually are. And then upon hearing this realization, Gaara would seek out special training to learn a new jutsu that could not only uphold his legacy, but also would be really, really useful in combat. And still a note, Tsunade still is in her comatose state, which means that the sixth Hokage, interim Hokage, is Danzo Shibura. And that's where I'm going to leave it off right now. If you liked, share, subscribe, comment. I love having discussions. I'm a Santos Destroyer, and I am out.